Plant FAQs, Emerald Zoysia. Emerald Zoysia versus Xeon. Emerald Zoysia gave me a lush, dense lawn that stood up well to wear and tear. Though Xeon Zoysia, with its finer texture and more vibrant color, seemed even softer and more appealing underfoot. Emerald Zoysia versus Empire Zoysia. I found Emerald Zoysia to be more drought-tolerant compared to Empire Zoysia, which required a bit more water to stay green and healthy. Emerald Zoysia versus Meyer Zoysia. Meyer Zoysia's slower growth compared to Emerald Zoysia meant it took longer to establish, but it did offer a beautiful, fine texture once it got going. Emerald Zoysia versus Bermuda. Emerald Zoysia held up better in shaded areas than Bermuda grass, which struggled with the lack of sunlight and didn't look as lush. Emerald Zoysia versus Palisades. Palisades Zoysia was a bit more tolerant of heat compared to Emerald Zoysia, but I preferred the overall sturdiness and rich green of Emerald Zoysia. Z52 Zoysia didn't quite match the lushness of Emerald Zoysia for me, as it seemed to have a coarser texture and less vibrant color. Emerald Zoysia versus Zenith Zoysia. Zenith Zoysia's finer texture and color were great, but I found Emerald Zoysia to be more resilient to foot traffic. Emerald Zoysia versus Centipede. Centipede grass didn't perform as well in my yard as Emerald Zoysia, particularly in terms of its tolerance to heavy usage and its vibrant green hue. Emerald Zoysia versus Fescue. Fescue grass, while lush and green, didn't hold up as well as Emerald Zoysia under the hot summer sun and heavy foot traffic. Emerald Zoysia versus St. Augustine. St. Augustine grass was more tolerant of shade, but I found Emerald Zoysia to be a better performer in the full sun and in terms of overall durability. Emerald Zoysia versus Zorro Zoysia. Zorro Zoysia had a similar lush look to Emerald Zoysia, but I felt that Emerald Zoysia was slightly more robust and easier to maintain in my yard. Can you buy Emerald Zoysia seed? I've been searching for Emerald Zoysia seed, but it's been a bit challenging to find. I've checked with several local nurseries and online suppliers, but it seems like it's not as readily available as other grass seeds. However, I'm determined to keep looking because I've heard great things about Emerald Zoysia's durability and beautiful appearance once it's established. Hopefully, I'll stumble upon it soon and get to experience its lush green goodness in my own yard. Can you seed Emerald Zoysia? Seeding Emerald Zoysia has been a bit of a project for me. I did manage to find some seeds after some searching, and I followed the instructions meticulously. It's been a few weeks now, and I'm eagerly waiting for those tiny seeds to sprout and transform into a lush carpet of Emerald Zoysia. The anticipation is real, and I'm hoping for a successful germination process. Does Emerald Zoysia spread? Emerald Zoysia is known for its spreading ability, which is one of the reasons I chose it for my lawn. I've seen it in action in my neighbor's yard, where it seems to effortlessly fill in bare spots and create a dense, uniform turf. It's impressive how quickly it can spread, and I'm looking forward to seeing my own lawn transform over time. How much does Emerald Zoysia sod cost? As for the cost of Emerald Zoysia sod, it can vary depending on where you purchase it and the size of your lawn. When I was pricing it out, I found that it tends to be on the higher end compared to other grass varieties, but I believe it's worth the investment for the long-term benefits it offers. Plus, the lush, green carpet it creates is simply stunning. How much is a pallet of Emerald Zoysia? When I was considering buying a pallet of Emerald Zoysia, I reached out to local suppliers to get quotes. I found that the price per pallet can vary depending on factors like delivery fees and the size of the pallet. Ultimately, I decided to go ahead with the purchase because I wanted to cover a larger area of my yard and achieve that beautiful Emerald Zoysia look. How much sun does Emerald Zoysia need? Emerald Zoysia thrives in full sun, so I made sure to choose a sunny spot in my yard to plant it. It needs at least 6 to 8 hours of sunlight per day to grow properly, so I made sure to keep that in mind when planning my landscaping. So far, it seems to be doing well in its sunny spot, soaking up the rays and flourishing. How to care for Emerald Zoysia grass. Caring for Emerald Zoysia grass has been a learning experience for me, but I found that consistency is key. I make sure to water it regularly, especially during dry spells, and I keep it well fed with a balanced fertilizer. I also mow it regularly to keep it at the optimal height for healthy growth. Overall, I found that a little bit of care goes a long way in keeping my Emerald Zoysia looking its best. Is Emerald Zoysia shade tolerant? Emerald Zoysia is known for its shade tolerance, which was one of the factors that drew me to it. While it does prefer full sun, it can still thrive in partially shaded areas, making it a versatile option for yards with varying light conditions. I've noticed that it still maintains its lush green color, even in areas where other grasses might struggle. When does emerald zoysia green up? Emerald zoysia typically greens up in the spring, once temperatures start to warm up and daylight increases. I've noticed that mine starts to show signs of new growth around late March to early April, depending on the weather conditions. It's always a welcome sight after the winter months, signaling that it's ready to thrive once again. Where to buy emerald zoysia grass seed? When I was searching for where to buy emerald zoysia grass seed, I found that not all nurseries and garden centers carry it. However, I was able to find a few online suppliers that offered it, so I ended up ordering from one of them. It arrived quickly, and I was impressed with the quality of the seed. If you're having trouble finding it locally, I would recommend checking out online suppliers. Will emerald zoysia grow in shade? While emerald zoysia does prefer full sun, it can still tolerate some shade. I have some areas of my yard that receive dappled sunlight throughout the day, and my emerald zoysia seems to be doing just fine there. It may not grow as vigorously as it would in full sun, but it still maintains its lush green color and overall health. What is the best fertilizer for emerald zoysia? For fertilizing my emerald zoysia, I found that a balanced fertilizer works best. I typically apply it in the spring, summer, and fall to keep my grass healthy and vibrant. I make sure to follow the instructions on the fertilizer bag and avoid overdoing it, as too much fertilizer can actually harm the grass. Does dog urine affect emerald zoysia grass? I've noticed that dog urine can have a negative effect on emerald zoysia grass, causing brown spots to appear where the urine has come into contact with the grass. To minimize this, I make sure to water those areas thoroughly after my dog goes to dilute the urine and prevent damage. I've also heard that there are products available that can help neutralize the effects of dog urine on grass, so that might be worth looking into as well. Does emerald zoysia go dormant? Yes, emerald zoysia does go dormant during the winter months, turning brown until temperatures warm up again in the spring. While it may not look as vibrant during dormancy, it's perfectly normal and nothing to be concerned about. I've found that it greens up beautifully once warmer weather arrives, so I just enjoy the seasonal changes and look forward to its return to lush greenery in the spring. How much water for emerald zoysia? Emerald zoysia has moderate water needs, so I make sure to water it deeply but infrequently to encourage deep root growth. I typically water it 1 to 2 times per week, depending on the weather and soil conditions. During hot, dry periods, I may increase the frequency of watering to ensure that it stays hydrated and healthy. Overall, I've found that consistent watering is key to keeping my emerald zoysia looking its best.